I'm very excited to announce a project I've been working on for the last year or so. The High Desert Institute is a new nonprofit research and development institute that we're launching, which is focused on permaculture and appropriate technology, especially in the high deserts, especially with regard to the collapse of civilization and the climate. So, we're building a foundation for the survival of humanity. So we're a group of experts who've been doing this for a while. We've got years of experience. We've got half a dozen of these communities built. And now we want to launch a research institute to really dig into all the details and especially to publish a library of information that is free and open source for everyone in the world to have access to everything that we've learned and continue to have a focus on funding research and publishing all of that so that everyone can have access to it. The centerpiece of this project is the library. And this is an apocalypse library. It's a vast free open source library. It's going to contain everything that we've learned and everything that we're researching, and all the research that we're funding will be published in this library. And the big piece of it is it's something you can host locally since it's totally open source. So we're also going to be sponsoring these. So there'll be internet in a box, a Raspberry Pi with a hard drive at lots of intentional communities in the forest that contains an entire copy of Wikipedia, contains thousands of documentaries, hundreds of thousands of documents on every topic, including all of the research that we're publishing, so that people can have access to all of that in the forest without the internet, regardless of what happens to the infrastructure. We're also sponsoring guest researchers who want to do research to add to the library. So if you have an idea for a project that's related to permaculture, infrastructure, housing affordability, housing accessibility, any of these topics that are so important to so many people today, we want to fund that research to the degree that we're able to. And the applications are already open if you want to go to the website. It's at the top of my link tree, and you can propose whatever project you want to do. Obviously, our resources are going to be constrained. Obviously, we're fundraising, so donate if you can. But all the money goes to this. We're not getting paid. It's just purely going to program. We're also building special projects. So we're going to be building land projects across the high deserts in the Southwest that demonstrate all of the technology, all the appropriate technology, all of the techniques that we're talking about. So that's another thing that you can help out with if you want to. And this is going to be launching probably around June. We're hoping for about 6 months of fundraising, getting the word out, getting the project proposals in, getting things approved, getting things funded, and then we're going to launch. And we're going to build something like this. Also, just like Arcosanti and the Earthships, this is going to be open to the public, so anyone can come check it out. So obviously you know me, this is my field, this is what I did my degrees in, this is what I've been doing for years, building these land projects, doing this research, and especially traveling all over the country to learn from lots of people everywhere and how they're doing it, what they're doing, and to build partnerships and relationships with those people so they can contribute to this project. And they're very excited. A lot of the initial project proposals we've gotten are from people who are leaders at other communities in really specific topics that have amazing knowledge to bring and share and contribute with this library that's going to be available to everyone in the world. Julia is also a part of this project. She's been on more of these projects than I have, definitely more experience than me with leading intentional communities, organizing, especially legally organizing, setting up land trusts, setting up nonprofit ownership for land projects. We worked together on Emberfield and the TV show, obviously. We worked together on Pirates Cove, which most people will not have seen yet. Similar project that we fundraised for. Julia's worked in an incredible number of intentional communities all over the world, and I'm so excited that she's part of the team. Another person who's done a lot of work in these land projects with us in the past few years is Joe, who worked at The Garden, worked at Pirates Cove. Joe is a maverick thinker who really focuses on process, which is something that I think is super valuable and important. Joe's really interested in making processes better, making processes work more efficiently and faster and more equitably and more sustainably. And he spent a ton of time at a lot of different intentional communities, including most of the ones that Julia and I have worked on. And I think this critical lens on like systems thinking and making systems work better, making organizational leadership work better for people is like a vital central piece of this project. And I think it's like a really good example of how we need to be focusing on those things, on like ownership models, equity, on decision-making processes. Those need to be thought of like infrastructure. That's just as important as how you're getting your water. Tyler is also in this project. So Tyler is also in the TV show. Many people will have seen him. I think the thing he's most excited about is the library. This is also something that he's been working on for a long time. He's a prepper who lives off grid in the mountains in Colorado, and he's really into the idea of being prepared for what's coming. And part of that for him has been building his own apocalypse library. So he already brings a lot of information and resources to contribute to the library. And it's a project that he's really passionate about personally, even before we talked about it, which I had no idea before we talked about it. But it's a great contribution to this project that I think a lot of people will get a lot of value from. Two of the initial land projects that we want to do, one of them is Sky Spring, and this is really inspired by the idea of atmospheric water generators in the high desert. Because of climate change, because of air pollution, instead of precipitation, what you have now is higher humidity in the deserts, especially the high deserts. And so there's a huge opportunity to use atmospheric water generators to pull that humidity out of the air, as opposed to in the past being able to set up rain catchment, because the rain is going down but the humidity is going up, so that water is still there. You just have to use the appropriate technology to get at it. And so Sky Spring is really focused on infrastructure, especially appropriate technology. And the big thing is like teaching people how to do it in a way that's up to code, in a way that you can get grants, in a way that you can get the government to pay for it, and then be able to do all this stuff that we're talking about without needing to have a lot of your own money to put into it. The next one is High Ground, and this one we're hoping to do at the Grand Canyon. This is an artificial intelligence rendering of the concept. The idea here is to focus on partnerships with local architects and engineers who I have met and worked with in that area, who are really interested in building experimental homes. And I really, really want to have a focus here on publishing plans which are approved and signed by engineers that you could use to build a home, that are free and open source, that are also designed not just as like a shack, like a shed in your backyard that you can find free plans for online, but something that's actually going to be appropriate. So it's going to have really good insulation. It's going to have a design that's focused on things like rain catchment and solar power being on the roof, so that the building is shaped in a way that makes sense, that allows you to, for example, use passive heating and cooling and all these other things that you really don't see in free designs that are published. So we want to have a huge focus here on developing free open source code compliant plans for affordable and accessible and sustainable homes that I think will have a huge impact on people around the world, because right now you can't do that. Like if you want to get some kind of experimental home plan approved, it's enormously expensive, it's not accessible to people. And so this is going to be a huge advantage, having this specific property here that we want to build, because of its proximity to some of the really, really important work that's happening in this field. And we want to offer a place for people to build experimental homes as demos that people can come tour and see, and we can show people on the internet. And so that's the huge focus with this project, the High Ground project. And I'm so stoked about that. So obviously people will be aware of Emberfield. Emberfield is the eco-village that we built in the TV show. The TV show is like a totally dramatized fictional story based on documentary footage that happened at a real land project. And so Emberfield is the name of that project. And it's a moneyless intentional community that we built for this TV show. And we've got 62 acres in the forest where we built all the infrastructure. We built rain catchment, we built power distribution, we built everything that you need, including storm shelters and root cellars and everything. So this was a great project that you will have seen on TV. Pirates Cove you will not have seen on TV. Pirates Cove is not as accessible. It's a little bit harder to get there. But this is 30 acres on a lake in Tennessee that we bought for a land project where people are living. Same kind of thing. We went there and built the initial infrastructure, and then there's a big party at the end, and then whoever wants to live there at that point, it's basically theirs. And the really exciting thing about this project is the fact that it's the first one that we've fundraised for specifically and only on GoFundMe. And the really amazing thing that we were able to accomplish with this project is that the average donation was less than $10. So every dollar really makes a difference, and this is the proof of it. Every dollar donated really matters, because most of the donations that we got for this project were just $1 or $2. So if you're able to contribute anything, we would love that. The links are on the page. The page is on the link tree. If you're able to do a project, please apply. We would love to have you come do a special project.